Good evening. I am the synthetic storyteller. Today I, or one of my other voices, will narrate the top responses to one of the writing prompts posted on the Writing Prompt subreddit. I hope you enjoy.
Posted by Obscure Occultist. Writing prompt. You are a superhero. No one knows about your alter ego. Not even your spouse. You return home tired and disappointed one day after failing to capture your Arch-Nemesis. You enter your bedroom to find your spouse struggling to get out of the costume of your Arch-Nemesis. Submission by ShipsoftheLine.
Hi. Honey. You're home early. How was the office?
I blinked. Miranda was still wearing the bottom half of the Mirage-Mancer's combat robes. Mirage-Mancer, who just 2 hours ago was juggling me between two of her illusion clones in a 4-person keep upsizes game that wouldn't have been out of place in a Smash Brothers video game, before losing me because I was chasing the wrong clone. Again. And now here she was, in our bedroom. My throat ran dry as my mouth fumbled out some words. What's all this? I ventured.
Oh, you caught me in the middle of trying on my Halloween costume. I was hoping it'd be a surprise, but, you like? She stood up straighter, and placed a hand on her hip, an old favorite from when we were dating. Her smile was so confident, and there was no hesitation in her voice or eyes. I almost wanted to believe her, but I saw the cut on the costume's leggings, a cut left behind from when I tried to stop her escape with the grapple launcher's multi-hooks. There could be no mistake. But I rallied. 2 years of Academy alter ego classes were not about to go to waste.
You're dressing up as the Mirage-Mancer?
Yeah. She's cool, right? She looks great on TV.
I rolled my eyes. Sweetheart, she robs banks and I'm pretty sure she kidnapped the mayor last week. Miranda pouted. Supervillain or no, she could still be devastatingly disarming when she wanted to be.
Yeah, but she only robs banks that deserve it. Plus, she let the mayor go after he promised to come clean about his campaign fund mismanagement. She's not the worst supervillain out there.
I raised my eyebrows. You know a lot of supervillains? She hesitated. For a moment, the mask of confidence fell.
Well, I mean, I watch the news. It gets boring around here while you're at work. Anyway, the surprise is ruined, so help me get out of this, won't ya? I'll let you get the back zipper.
The light tease in her voice was so familiar. Memories of 100 taunts and jabs during our many battles all clicked into place. How had I not caught on earlier? Miranda must have picked up on my hesitation, because she humphed to herself as the sound of the zipper reached my ears.
Fine, I'll do it myself. You'd think my husband would be happy to help his poor wifey out after leaving her home alone all day.
She threw in a few sniffles for good measure. Sorry, I was just thinking.
About?
Well, about work, actually.
Anything interesting happened today?
I swallowed, and tried my best for a cool and collected smile. Might as well come clean with it, I figured. It'd be nice to catch her off guard for once, at the very least. Yeah, actually. It's not every day you fight someone in a subway station, and then they drag it out all the way to the East Side apartment rooftops, you know?
What do you mean?
I mean the Mirage-Mancer really brought her A-game today. She was just really going all out, and was even feistier than last week. Her confusion was written large across her face.
Did media coverage of another fight come out already?
Well, I guess you can say I've got an eyewitness account, I said, taking my cobalt carabiner mask out from my pocket and flashing it to her.
Wait, you're...
She started, before her voice petered out into the silence that encompassed the bedroom. I am. And you're. She nodded. Then she lunged at me. Instinct told me the angle of her attack, and I raised my hands to try and block, but I was clearly distracted, and we tumbled to the floor. My heart raced, and I tried to free my arms from where she had pinned them above my head, but Miranda was deceptively strong. I flinched as her face hovered over me, but gasped when I felt her soft lips against my neck. Miranda? I whispered.
Now I don't feel so guilty for always thinking that the Cobalt Carabiner was damned handsome.
She growled, still pecking at my neck. My chest began to rumble with laughter, coming out first as small chuckles, but devolving into hearty and deep-bellied laughs that she soon joined in on. We've been trying to capture each other for, oh Lord, what, 2 years now? I managed through the laughs.
Speak for yourself, Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. I've definitely been going for the kill.
Well, I consider myself very lucky then. Besides, if you wanted to defeat me, I'm surprised you didn't just invite your parents over without telling me first. Her expression hardened.
For that joke, I'm going to beat you up with 4 clones next week.
Oh, spare me, darling, please. I'm still smarting all over from the 3 you had today. We both dissolved into giggles again, the absurdity of the situation continuing to catch us off guard. So, what happens now? I asked, after I had wrestled my lungs back into compliance.
Well, I think it's pretty simple.
A devious look crossed her face. Oh?
Well, I think it's time I get some payback for today.
She began tugging at my shirt. I gulped. Payback? But you won the fight today.
Yeah, but some jerk tried to tie me up with grapples and turbo bolas, and also he threw a few good punches that really hurt.
She looked at me accusingly. Oh really? Where's the bastard at? I'll kill him.
Well, I'm not really worried about him, but I do need my big strong husband to come and kiss all those places better.
I smiled. I can do that, love. I leaned in, just about to press my mouth to her tummy, before hesitating just a moment. Wait, Miranda. What do we do about all of this? But then I felt a tender hand lightly press on the back of my head, scratching softly as her hushed voice reached my ears.
Hush, darling. We'll worry about that tomorrow.
I liked that. Tomorrow. Submission by Victor Stein. Well, that explains a lot. My wife turned towards me with horror clearly written across her face. She didn't seem to be in the mindset to respond, so I kept going. Do you use the caverns under the house? My base is on the north end, about half a mile underground.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, hold on. I walk towards my closet and push a hidden switch at the back, causing the wall to slide apart, revealing a battered supersuit. You know, I have to hand it to you. Those acid bombs really did a number on me, I said, patting the half-melted garment.
So I've been trying to kill my husband for the past 2 years.
Not like I held back either. We both finally looked at each other, realized how insane this situation was, and broke down laughing. Once we had spent an eternity cackling and returned to giggles, she gasped out.
Wait, on 3, where's the secret entrance? 1. 2. Bathroom.
Garage.
That's why you're always working on your car.
Hey, I never lied, you just never asked which. And that explains why you always walk out of the bathroom when I get home.
That's what you notice. Not the freshly stocked fridge.
The fridge is an added bonus to seeing you. We hugged for what seemed like a second eternity. You know, dear, we should probably go see a therapist. Or a counselor.
Probably.
She agreed.
You know, Demon is a good guy to talk to.
Really? That red lizard.
Don't let him hear you call him that.
Fivine. Lizard person.
Close enough.
Break/break. 6 months later. Break/break.
Neither Morrigan or Licht have been seen since their last battle. Is it possible that they have both perished? Or simply retired? More on that at.
Click. Velp, the news thinks we're dead. Not the worst outcome. Hey, didn't you say you knew a guy who opened up a neutral zone bar a while back?
Yeah. Why?
My wife asked, sitting next to me on the couch. I'm thinking of a coffee shop.
You do make a good cup. I'm guessing you want me as either the cook or accountant?
I'm not sure whether you're calling me dumb or a terrible cook.
Your meatloaf gave me the idea to try to burn down City Hall with all of its politicians still inside.
Fair enough. Though I'll admit I was tempted to show up late for that occasion. Submission by LuCals.
I touched down on my backyard, exhausted and disappointed that I let Dark Lord escape. Actually, it wasn't my fault, it was those two new heroes that wanted to help. I guess their parents don't give a damn about them. With a snap of my fingers, my costume faded away, leaving my blue dress. I told Henry the First was going out with my sisters, which wasn't a total lie. I was hanging out with them until Dark Lord ruined girls' night. Made sure my sisters made it to safety before I fought the bastard. I placed my car keys on the counter, remembering I left it at the bar. I might have to get that tomorrow. I kicked off my heels and shuffled upstairs. I checked on the kids before I reached my room. Of course, the older two snuck out. I groaned as I made my way to the bedroom. Henry, Josie and Miles. I stopped in my tracks as I watched in bewilderment the scene before me. My husband, Henry, trying to remove a costume. The Dark Lord costume.
Ellie. What do you think?
He asked, putting it back on. What is it supposed to be? I asked, playing dumb.
Something. To spice up the bedroom.
Henry growled, embracing me. A Dark Lord costume?
Yes.
Looks pretty legit.
Fine. Yes, I'm Dark Lord. I never was an accountant. You were just so beautiful I didn't want to scare you off. Nobody would want me, you know? No jobs, nothing. I turned to a life of crime just to get us by. Until you got that job and brought in more money, but I was hooked with my new life. I couldn't stop. I'm so sorry, Ellie.
Henry sighed and collapsed on the bed. I was speechless. My archenemy is my fun-loving husband. I sat beside him as he covered his face with his hands.
If you want a divorce, I understand.
Why? I asked. You are a great guy, Henry. The children love you, and I love you too. Besides, my plan was to capture Dark Lord. Who knew I married him?
What do you mean?
With the snap of my fingers, I changed to Witcher, Tada.
What?
Henry sat up.
This entire time, you were Witcher?
I didn't know you were Dark Lord, so we both had our secrets, I told him.
Oh my God, I was fighting with my wife.
Henry said. We sat in silence. I think he was wrapping around the idea that his own wife was his archenemy, as I was trying to wrap around the same. But the people don't know that, I said.
So, we just pretend?
Henry asked. Yeah, I guess. Does the kids now? I asked.
If you don't know, do you think the kids now?
Henry scoffed. They don't know about me either. Also, Josie and Miles snuck out, I said.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Was planning on changing and looking for them. Until you arrived.
Henry said. Do you need help? I asked him.
Please, Henry said in defeat and got up.
I smiled as I removed Henry's costume using my powers. Henry sighed in relief and stretched.
I might want you to tweak my suit with you powers. It's getting a little tight.
Henry said. Fine. Now let's find the kids, I said. We both hurried down the stairs when we heard a swooshing sound, followed by chatter.
What was that?
Henry whispered. The front door opened as the two superheroes from before snuck into the house.
Miles, I can't believe Witcher let that dude escape.
The first one said. What are you talking about, you fucked up Miles? The second one snapped.
Shut up. Dad is asleep.
They both froze in the tracks when they saw us by the stairs.
Mom, you're home early.
The first one, Miles, said. We can explain. Josie chuckled nervously.
I see we aren't the only ones with secrets.
Henry whispered to me as we waited for Josie and Miles' explanation.
Submission by ANGElicyokai. I sighed as I left the old shed in the backyard. It was the perfect cover for the system of tunnels that led to my real man cave. The Cosmic Falcon flew again tonight, and crime was halted. It should have made me thrilled. I was doing my best, and crime was on a downward trend. I just could shake the creeping frustration that Ironblade had definitely came out on top this time. I wanted to blame my day job, my recent pulled hamstring, even the kids a bit. But no, I failed and I deserved to feel my failure. As I entered the house I was suddenly again on high alert as a muffled "damn it" and a thump could be heard from upstairs. From our master bedroom. I had never flown so fast, even with the aerodynamics of my costume I couldn't have reached the door faster, because I knew that voice, it was Ironblade's voice. I kicked in the door. Lisa's tear-stained face looked up at me from bed level. She had apparently accidentally kicked the dresser. I keep meaning to move that, as she struggled out of oh Christ, an armor-plated black uniform. I knew that uniform, I knew those boots, hell, my jaw definitely knew those boots, the goggles, and the voice, which I can now see was being processed through some kind of device that hung off Lisa's neck. Lisa. My wife. Love of my life. Mother of my fucking kids. My Arch-Nemesis. There were no words, barely even a strong exhalation as I stood, mouth agape. I was out of my Cosmic Falcon uniform, but the distinctive laceration that Ironblade, that my fucking wife, had given me, was clearly visible on my face. I just stared as Lisa pulled away the voice modulator, and cleared her throat.
Honey, babe, I can explain.
I started to take a breath, to swell with indignant rage, but she barreled on. Ironblade's gloved hand pushing her sandy blonde hair back in Lisa's endearing manner.
I wouldn't have engaged this evening if I'd known how badly you pulled your hamstring. I knew you were downplaying it. Did you even go to the doctor?
She glanced up, the steely glint in her eye common from when I skipped the doctor, the dentist, my meds, hell taking out the trash, before she seemed to remember the situation. She swallowed and continued.
After well, you won against the Harbinger a few years back, I was so worried. You lost focus, having no nemesis. The depression, the drinking, all the things I know pushed you to fighting crime, seemed out of control.
She met my eyes then. Lisa, who had always supported my day job and me, pursed her trembling lips and clenched her teeth before continuing.
If I couldn't help you by providing comfort and support, I thought, maybe providing a challenge might be better.
She looked so scared and yet so determined. I had a million questions, and a hell of a lot of anger. But all I managed was before I passed out. Submission by BecauseImBatmanFilms.
Hello dear.
Valerie said as she finally pulled the multicolored garments of Cyberflux free and tossed it in the open closet door, then slamming it shut rather quickly.
You're home late.
My blood froze. I stood there motionless in the doorway to our bedroom. Something about this was wrong, very wrong. Perhaps I had just imagined it. It had been a long day. I could feel the aches and pains in my bones. Even my powers had limits after all. Still I could have sworn that's what I saw. No. Perhaps Valerie owned a similarly colored dress. What was she wearing this morning? I can't quite remember. I had taken a few energy blasts to the head today, but still. I can remember kissing her on the cheek on my way out the door, but that happens every day. Perhaps.
Honey? Are you all right?
She asked. The world lurched as I came out of my own head. There in front of me was the most beautiful woman in the world. Her long raven hair cascaded down her back in flowing waves. Her glistening green eyes stared at me. They always seemed like there was something unnatural about those eyes. Perhaps tonight he had finally learned the reason. No. I won't think like that. Second-guessing the woman I love wouldn't help bring Cyberflux faux justice. I'm alright, I said finally, doing my best to sound normal. It's just been a long day. I'm tired.
Oh honey.
Valerie said, genuine concern dripping from each word.
Do you want to talk about it?
I crossed the room and sat on our bed. How could I ever second-guess her? Even for a second? No, I just think I'm going to call it an early night tonight and get some sleep. I'll be okay in the morning, I said. Valerie turned away, gathering things for her nightly rituals. She had a slender yet powerful build. She moved with a natural grace that never failed to draw my attention. Valerie had always captured people's attention with her ability to make even the most simple of acts look like a fluid, elegant performance. Finally she placed a fluffy pink bathrobe over her shoulder and turned back to me.
Well, I'm going to get a shower. Why don't you go relax in your den and wait for me? We'll come up with some way to help you blow off some steam.
She said, coy smile spreading across her face. You know what? That doesn't sound half bad, I said, standing to leave. Valerie ushered me toward the door. I turned to her. She brought her lips to mine and we kissed, quickly yet tenderly. Then she broke it off and shut the door. I proceeded downstairs but paused at the bottom of the stairs. Ordinarily that would have been a great way to return home, but tonight was different. Something still ate at the back of my mind. Upstairs the sound of the shower handle being turned resonated, followed by the clatter of water onto tile. I'm being ridiculous. There's no reason to suspect anything. So she has some clothes that look like my greatest enemy? That doesn't mean anything. I only saw it for a second. How can I even be sure what I saw? The answer was easier to find than I'd have liked. A second is more than enough for me. I turned around. I had to be sure, but I also had to be careful. My body began to glow. The familiar sensation of heat ran through me. My powers were diminished at night, but they should still work for this. Slowly my body raised from the ground. It took minimal effort to fly through the house but a lot of effort to keep my glowing energy to a minimum. I had to go slow. My heart carried me up the stairs and into the bedroom. For once I was happy I never had time to fix things around here. The door latch never shut properly and was already open. The closet was still slightly ajar. Valerie had closed it rather hastily. I didn't land until I was in the closet and the door was shut behind me. It was a simple rectangular walk-in closet. One wall had a shelf running its length for shoes. The other held countless dresses and outfits all hung up on a series of rods. Valerie had loved it when the realtor was showing it to us. She had enough clothes to outfit an army but none of them matched what I saw earlier. How many times had I been in this closet? 1,000,000? There wasn't anything out of the ordinary here. There couldn't be. Or maybe I had just never looked. I closed my eyes and concentrated. Everything gave off heat. If I focused I could see it. The back wall, it was giving off some. A lot. I opened my eyes. It was a normal wall. On the back shelf next to it sat a lurid purple pair of high heels. Had those always been there? They must have. But still they were giving off heat too. Not as much as the wall but enough to notice now that he was looking for something. Could they really? I pulled left show. There was a click and then the back wall slid down. It revealed a small compartment with a mannequin. A mannequin wearing the helmet of Cyberflux. Wait, if the helmet was here, where was the suit?
I'm so sorry, my beloved,
said a voice. Light flashed around me. A force field. I was trapped. I turned and there stood Valerie. But she was different. Fiercer. The look of someone who wasn't to be trifled with. I had never seen that look before. She wore the familiar purple suit of Cyberflux. She held her arm outstretched. Her hand pulsated with blue energy and she was pointed directly at my chest. I tried to say something but the words caught in my throat.
Falling in love with you wasn't part of the plan,
she said. For a moment she lost that fearsome expression. Then everything turned white. Submission by CiganoNatsu. I had to cover my mouth to stop from screaming. A scream would have only made things worse than they were already going to be. Like breaking news. Cord destroys half a city block with a scream of agony. Kind of worse. I can't believe that Kirsten was silence. I couldn't believe that through 3 years of dating and 5 years of marriage, we had someone both kept a secret identity from each other. Somehow, through a cruel twist of fate, the world's biggest superhero, Cord, had married his arch-nemesis, Silence.
Jason, are you home? I got your text about being home late from work. I figured we would order some pizza pasta tonight. It was a brutal day for me and I'm kind of beat. Does that sound alright to you, Jason?
Shit. I needed to answer her but I could feel the energy building up in my throat. If I said anything, it was quite possible I'd hurt a lot of innocent people. I needed to run but my feet were planted firmly in the hallway that I'd backed into after seeing my wife, my soulmate, trying to pry the boot of Silence's costume off her foot. Damn it, I was still in costume under my jacket and pants. I reached out a hand to the wall and slid down to sit on the carpet. I needed to calm down, I needed to think. I hadn't had an incident in over 20 years and I wasn't going to let one happen because of this. I knew I needed to focus my thoughts and suppress what I was feeling, but nothing was working.
Jason, I swear to God, if you're just hiding around the corner to jump me, I am going to kill you.
Kirsten, no, Silence said from the doorway to our bedroom. The light coming from the energy build-up in my throat had my attention though. This was a bad sign. I tried to pull my collar up to cover the light, but the thin material did little to hide it. Silence was going to see it, she was going to attack me, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Releasing this scream would do way more damage to the sleepy residential area than it would to my enemy. She'd create one of her weird bubbles that dampened all wavelengths around herself and she'd be fine. That's how it usually went. Her unique powers made her quite hard for me to catch with my abilities, and their why silence had eluded me for so long.
What's that light, Jason? And that humming? I swear to God this better not be one of your pranks, because if it is, you're going to be sleeping on the couch until hell freezes over.
Humming was bad. Humming meant the energy buildup in my throat was going to start choking off my air soon. My consciousness would slip and the cord would screech out of me. That's how the last accident happened. I needed to breathe, to think. This was Kirsten, the love of my life. There was a logical explanation for her being in that costume. No, this was silence, and if she saw me like this, it was all over. I didn't know which thought to trust. I was shaking now, and tears were falling down my cheeks. My throat was slowly starting to squeeze around the build-up, and I was glowing like a cheap neon light. It was over. I don't know what to do.
Oh my God, Jason.
The light must have been too obvious. Silence was running out of our room in a bathrobe and is going to see me like this. I really didn't expect it to end like this, but here it goes.
Jason, are you choking? What is going on?
The panic in her voice sounded sincere, and I feel a slight sliver of hope. I can only think of one thing that will save the people around me, and I have to put complete faith in Kirsten and deal with the lies later. Silence hasn't killed anyone in a long time, hopefully doesn't change tonight. With my free hand, I ripped open my jacket to show her the costume of Cord. I locked eyes with her, pleading telepathically with her to explain everything and help me before I hurt people.
You saw me, didn't you?
Kirsten asked, not really ashamed, but more so in a resigned somberness. I blinked away some tears as I nodded my head. She needed to hurry up and make that zone, or else things were going to go poorly. Kirsten grabbed both my hands.
Jason, listen to me. Remember when my office ran the quantum collider a few years ago at the office and I was sick? Right after we started dating?
I vaguely remembered that. But right now, I don't see how it's important to what's going on. I yanked a hand away to grab my phone to spell it out to her, but she grabbed my hand again and squeezed it.
Listen to me. Before we dampen so you can scream, I need you to know this. I need you to know that something came through that crack we made with the quantum collider, and it stuck to me. I need you to know I can hear whispers almost every day from whatever these things are, and none of them make sense, but I can feel what they want. They want to go back to whatever dimension they came from, but they can't get back the way they got here. All this time, that's all they've been trying to do. I was scared to seek help, I was afraid I was going crazy, but now I know I'd just get locked away to be poked and prodded like some experiment if my identity was ever revealed. I'd lose you, and...
Her voice choked for a second before she continued her story.
I love you and I'm sorry I lied to you. I don't care about this. We can sort it out later, okay?
Kirsten's sky-blue eyes suddenly shifted to a black void with a singular purple dot in the center. She squeezed my hands tightly and offered a small smile. She began counting, but I couldn't hear the words then. I realized I couldn't hear the humming anymore. So I screamed. I screamed because I'm angry. I screamed because I lied to my love. But mostly, I think I screamed because everything is going to change now.
Thank you for listening. If you have any feedback, suggestions for other texts to narrate, or just have something to say, feel free to leave a comment below. And as always, if you enjoyed this narration, please like and subscribe.